All right, today we're diving into a massive retail revolution that's taking place in India. But here's the thing, it's not happening where you'd expect, in those flashy megacities. We're talking about this really fascinating blend of old school trust and super new school tech that is unlocking just billions in spending power right in the heart of the country.
So let me ask you this. In one of the biggest economies on the planet, where is the next big retail gold rush? I mean, your first guess is probably the huge metro cities like Mumbai or Delhi, right? Makes sense.
Well, think again. You'd actually be looking in the complete wrong place. The real action, the truly explosive growth, it's all happening somewhere else entirely. We're talking about India's heartland.
And this is the new frontier for Indian retail. It's all about the shoppers in what they call Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. So just think of these as all the fast-growing cities and towns that are outside of those main metropolitan hubs. And believe me, they are coming online in a huge, huge way.
So who exactly are we talking about here? I mean, what makes these new consumers tick? First off, this isn't some niche group. We're talking about the fastest growing consumer base in the entire country. They're totally digitally active thanks to affordable smartphones and cheap data, but, and this is the key, they shop differently. They really value a personal connection. They want to buy from people they can actually trust. And that, right there, points to this massive, completely untapped potential.
But that deep need for trust, well, it actually creates a huge problem for the big e-commerce giants we all know and use. It creates what you could call a digital trust gap. And this gap is exactly why the usual way of shopping online just falls flat with this audience.
Okay, so check this out, because this is where the disconnect really becomes clear. On one hand, you've got traditional e-commerce. It's kind of cold, right? Impersonal, transactional, basically a one-way street. You click, you buy, that's it. But on the other hand, the Tier 2 and 3 shopper, they're looking for the exact opposite. They want something personal, interactive, something that's actually built on real human trust. It's like they're operating in two totally different online universes. So how in the world do you bridge that gap? Well, the answer comes in a format that is just exploding in popularity right now: live commerce. It is the perfect interactive solution that clicks exactly with what this new wave of shoppers is looking for. So what even is live commerce? Let's break it down. In a nutshell, it's when sellers use live video to connect directly with their buyers. They aren't just throwing up a static product page with some pictures. No, they're demonstrating the products live, they're answering your questions as they come in, and they're building a real relationship with you. All of it happening in real time. Probably the best way to think about it is like this. Picture your favorite local market, right? You know the vendors by name, you can ask them anything you want, you can see the product right there up close. Okay, now imagine that entire experience, but it's happening on your phone, and you have access to a way wider variety of stuff.
So, here's how a typical live session actually works. It's really straightforward. First, a seller just goes live on a video stream. Then they start showcasing the product, and I mean really showcasing it, demonstrating how it works, explaining the benefits. Now, the real magic happens in the live chat. Viewers are typing in questions, and the seller is answering them instantly. And then comes the final piece. You can buy the product directly during the stream, often with a special deal that's only good until the live session ends.
Okay, so this all leads to the big question, right? Why does this work so unbelievably well for this audience? Well, the answer is pretty simple, actually. It all comes down to bringing that much-needed human touch into the sometimes cold, impersonal world of online shopping. Remember that trust gap we talked about? Well, this model tackles it head-on. First, it builds incredible confidence and transparency. You see the real product held by a real person live, no surprises. It also completely smashes language barriers because sellers can speak in regional languages, which creates this amazing emotional connection. Honestly, it just feels more familiar and comforting than staring at a web page. And yeah, of course, adding those limited time deals, that creates that little bit of urgency that gets people to hit buy right then and there. There's a quote that just sums this up perfectly. It says, live commerce blends entertainment, authenticity, and instant shopping in one experience. I mean, just think about that for a second. It's not just a boring transaction anymore. It becomes a full-on event.
So with all this incredible momentum, you've got to ask, what's next? Where does this all go from here for retail in India?
Well, the road ahead seems pretty clear. Right now, it's all about growing access, thanks to those affordable smartphones and high-speed internet. What's coming up soon? We're going to see a huge surge in vernacular content. That means streams in all the different regional languages, probably driven by local influencers. And the future? Get this, live commerce is on track to become the new standard for Indian retail. It's not going to be a niche thing anymore.
So, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that this isn't just some passing trend. No way. This is a fundamental shift. It's the beginning of the next entire era of Indian retail. And that really leaves us with one last massive question to think about. If this model is so powerful, so effective at building trust online in a market as huge and diverse as India, well, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is the future of all commerce, everywhere, going to be live?